Bruce wants to know, the United States has $31 trillion in debt and growing. When Texas becomes independent, would Texans be responsible for any of that debt?
Bruce, good to hear from you. The very short answer is no. I should probably say a few things about this. In international law, there is no obligation for a new state to honor the debt of the previous parent state. When the first time that was a question was when Belgium in 1830 seceded from the Netherlands. The Dutch said, we want part of you to pay part of the debt, and the Belgians just flatly refused that. So the legal position is that you don't have to pay any share of the debt. If you Google my name and the newspaper The Sun, you will see that I got quite a lot of stick for saying that Scotland could become independent and send the bill to the then finance minister of the United Kingdom. Now, you have to have a thick skin to be in my profession, but I'm pretty happy to get into fights when I know that I'm right and I know that I can win. And in this particular case, Scotland could become independent and just walk away from the debt. After Ireland became independent, Ireland was willing to pay the princely sum of £1 to the United Kingdom. Because the argument was that why should they pay the debt that had been accumulated as a result of Britain buying weapons to suppress the Irish. Now, that's one of, if you want to be sort of political about it. There was an attempt in the early 1980s to draw up an international treaty that forced countries that became independent to pay their share of the debt. That was not ratified by a sufficient number of countries and therefore has become redundant, is no longer international law. So a country does not have to pay its share of the debt. They can decide willingly to do so. Ukraine refused to pay part of the Soviet debt, and Ukraine started in a pretty precarious position, and then they weren't able to borrow money from international banks, and then started actually paying some of its share of the Soviet debt. I'm saying that because I want you to know that the world out there is not particularly simple. And if you're starting your life as a poor country, it might be quite difficult for you to get, frankly, the banks to lend you the money. However, if you are the 10th largest economy in the world, as I think Texas would probably be, or 11th, that would probably not be one of your problems. So if you are in a good position, and if you are, Bruce, I don't know if you're from Texas or where you're from, but if you are from Texas and you think that is a particular issue, I think you shouldn't be too concerned about that. They also, when Czechoslovakia broke up into Slovakia and the Czech Republic, they decided to pay a sort of percentage share. So they divvied up the current debt by the number of people living in each of the two countries, and then paid a proportion of that. So there are all sorts of ways in which you can pay your debt. I'll just come back to the very simple point, which is the legal point. Do you have to pay a share of the debt? And frankly, Texas could become independent and send the bill to Mrs. Yellen, I think her name is, isn't she?